Hello, everyone, and welcome to Belize Tourism Futures. Today, I'm joined by Nick Scavone, Managing Director of Brilliance Belize, a leading property management company on San Pedro Ambergis Key. Nick and I go way back. He taught me about the business side of tourism during my undergrad at Galen University. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you, Lorenzo.
Today, we are talking about why high standards and attention to detail matter in tourism. Nick, can you start by telling us a bit about your background and why you're well suited to speak about this topic?
Tourism has basically been my life. I had my first job in a hotel when I was 12 years old. I've progressed through the ranks. I've done everything in a hotel or a restaurant except be the chief engineer and the controller. I've looked at tourism in the Caribbean and in Central America broadly my entire life, and I've watched tourism development in various countries progress during that time. So I've been able to use some of that expertise and bring it to bear here in Belize and helping them also progress.
And what does presentation or product quality mean when we're talking about tourism?
Tourism, in its many forms, is an experience. It's an experience from the guest side and an experience from the host country side. Presentation is how you put your best foot forward. The old adage is true. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. And that presentation is key. That's what's going to set off the entire tone of the relationship once you start, whether it's a hotel or a restaurant or an inn or a tour operator or a tour guide. It's what people feel that they remember, and it's what they see that determines how they're going to feel about you. And quality is something that really is in the mind of the purchaser. A tourist will determine whether it was quality or value for money. So it's vitally important.
Why do travelers often remember how something looked or felt even more than what they did?
Memory is a funny thing. If you think back over experiences, you will color what you did for a zip line, or you will color how you went to a store or whatever. And then you might not even remember what you saw. You might not even remember what the store looked like. Memories about things that you do get jumbled sometimes. But how something makes you feel, that's something that stays with you. The scent of, you go down the road, you might smell something, and then it brings back that memory of, oh my, that smells like fry jack or rice and beans and stewed chicken. I mean, that is what you get intimate with. That's what stays with you. So hence the importance of creating these moments when you can really impact somebody's life and give them an experience that attacks all of their senses, because that is what really people are looking for.
And how does good presentation like signage, menus, and room layout help build trust with guests?
I think that it allows the guests to learn things on their own, to take something away. And also it helps re-fortify the brand image that you have. If people, when they think of a brand, they think of completeness, and having your signs follow your brand colors, being consistent, is very important in supporting what it is you're messaging. If you say that you're a first-class place and you're a luxury accommodation, you need to have those touch points that people understand and associate with luxury. The other thing is allowing the guest to have information without having to ask unnecessary questions or feel foolish. When they go into a nature walk in the jungle and they look and they say, oh my God, that's a beautiful tree. I wonder what that is. Oh, there's a sign that tells me that's a gumbo limbo tree. Now I know something that I didn't know before. I feel better for it. And when I go and tell my friends, I can say, hey, I saw a gumbo limbo tree. And they go, what's that? A point of conversation. This is something that they can take away from themselves. And I think in the restaurant business, it almost harkens back to the wine ritual that people play. And, many times when I was served as a waiter or the manager of a restaurant, you go in and a guy comes in with his date and he's there and, the place looks great and he orders wine. And I've seen the waiter open up the wine and give him the cork and the guy does everything but chew it. I mean, you don't know what he's doing. But it's up to the waiter then to subtly follow along. Don't make the man feel like a fool. Make him feel like a hero so he can enjoy the experience and get what he's paying for. That's the business that we're in. And working from the people side, The people need the support of the environment. And part of that support is having consistent signage, having consistent branding touch points and elements that support what it is you're trying to do and what your message you're trying to convey to the guest.
So, what's the role that presentation plays in how much tourists are willing to pay for a product or service?
Presentation is an important part of your messaging. Remember, people don't know what anything is worth. Absent any information, they go by price. Oh, well, the $1,000 model should be a better model than the $500 model or the $5 model. So in absence of any kind of information, price is the determinant of value and worth. But that being said, people have certain expectations. So when you do your messaging in hospitality and you are billing yourself as a luxury person, you're charging $600 or $700 or $800 a night, people have to go in and decide to themselves when they look at it, yes, this is worth $800 a night. You have to have that wow factor. On the other hand, if you're only charging $50 a night for a room, when people walk in, it doesn't mean it's supposed to be a dump, but it has to show those elements that, okay, well, I'm not paying for expensive lotions and I'm not paying for, expensive hair dryers and 300 red count sheets or something, but I'm getting good value. Price is what you determine, value is what the guest takes away. So you have to give value for money and always try and give a little more value than you think you can afford or that the guest is expecting, because then the guest will consider that a higher value purchase. So presentation, we're in the presentation business. We eat with our eyes. We go to hotels based on pretty pictures and videos and showing people having exciting times. This is the business that we're in. It's show business. In tourism and show business are very much the same thing. Our tour operators, our servers, our front desk clerks, our maintenance people, our actors in the stage is the hotel or the tour or the boat or the restaurant.
Do you have any tips as to how someone would determine whether the product or service they're providing equals the value of what the customer is paying?
You as the operator cannot determine value, only the guest. The only reliable gauge that you will have on that is by asking your guests. Was it worth it? Did you enjoy yourself? Did I fulfill my promise when I messaged you in my advertising and in my presentation? Did you get what you expected to get? And was it of a suitable quality? Did you enjoy it? So that is really the best way to find out, is to ask the people themselves. Ask your customers, talk to your customers, relate to your customers. If you get a chance at every level in hospitality, be it hotels or restaurants or tour operators, taxi drivers, the best thing you can do is engage. If you engage your people and you get to know them on a human level, they'll tell you, boy, you're really a ratty cab you got here. And you can say, yeah, okay. Then you can explain to them why it's a ratty cab, or it might be a ratty cab to you, but here in Belize or something, that's not really considered ratty. This is our culture. So but you mitigate that and you get to overcome some of the shortcomings if you have that level of engagement. I have a property that we run that has no amenities, has no pool, has no restaurant. I mean, basically it is a room on the beach. It is on the beach though, which is kind of nice. But we get rave reviews. People love it there. Why? I don't know, but basically the whole sale is the same thing. The help is so friendly. The people are so nice. They booked a tour for me. They saw me out walking and they came and they brought me an umbrella because they saw I was getting sunburned, or they put a hammock out for me. This is the kind of thing that builds. Now, those guests' mind, that's value. The rate's not that high. The amenities are low, but the value was in the engagement.
Getting back to presentation, what are some common presentation mistakes you've seen in Belize tourism?
The biggest one I think is a lack of anticipation. In the restaurants, particular in the hotels, if you do an action like a person places an order, and I order a burger, well, the burger's probably going to want some condiments, and they're probably going to want extra napkin or something, that sort of thing. They never do that. They always bring in a burger, then they go get the napkins and everything. That is really, really bad. That sets you up because now I can't start my food because I don't have what I need. Anticipation is so much better and makes the little things like that. So I come in, I order a burger, okay, and they come and they put the silverware down and they make sure I have ketchup, they make sure I have mustard, whatever. They ask me if there's anything else I'd like with my burger, and I can tell them, and then they bring it to me. All of a sudden, I don't care if it's an outdoor place under a palapa with in a rickety wooden table. All of a sudden, this is a great meal. I'm gonna love this because they care about me. A lot of times too. So there's that human aspect to it, and there's the anticipation of service. You know that that you're checking into a room. Okay, you're checking into a room. You see, I've got 15 bags. Well, I don't know, but you got 15 bags. Can I get somebody to help you do that? Can I open a door for you? Somebody go and open a door for you. Anticipation of guests' needs before they have to ask for them is a very small thing, but it pays big dividends down the line in overcoming a lot of deficiencies you may have elsewhere. Another thing too is to, and we all travel. I mean, everybody has traveled. I don't think we live in a world where anybody in Belize or any place else has not gone someplace. I mean, either from Belize City to Cayo, you've gone someplace, you've traveled. Um, and a lot of times we see things and we enjoy them when we see them, but we don't take them back with us. We don't see that, okay, I'll make my salt and pepper shakers out of little Marie Sharp bottles or something. Little tiny touches that people look at and go, oh wow, isn't that so cute, or isn't that nice? That's what sets you apart. You know, Placemats that are done out of natural straw or natural fiber, or the maybe they're woven out of in a Mayan motif. That is something that's nice. Little things. Okay, you can't afford to have, silk tablecloths and Garradon service, but you know what? You could have reasonably priced, clean silverware. Cleanliness, staying true to where you are, staying true to the culture that you're working in, using those elements in your design and in the things that you do go a long way toward improving your presentation without having to spend a bucket of money that you may not have on it. Even the meanest, most rundown back of bush place that's got the gib nuts hanging from the rafters can still be warm and welcoming, and can still give people something that's interesting. They can have a handmade piece of textile, or a placemat or something that warms the place up and gives it some personality, some reflection of the owner, and some reflection of the culture in which they're living. And that's something that we need to do. And they've been talking about this a lot in the marketing, meetings and stuff that I go to in the BTB. They're really trying to push the Garifuna culture, the Mayan culture, to get the hotels and the guest houses to be reflective of the culture that they're in. If you're going to be up in a place in Hopkins and or Dangra, by God, put something Garifuna in there. Pay homage to the people that made those places what they are. There's a deep, rich history there that we don't use, and we don't, I use the term exploit in all the best sense. I don't mean it badly, but we don't exploit it in the way that it can be done to welcome people and to give people the knowledge of where they are and what makes us special.
Can you share a story where a small design or packaging improvement made a real difference?
Yeah, I have a property that was I think it was part of a group of other properties, and it had a certain perception, of a beachy place, out of the way, that kind of stuff. But it really was not living up to its potential. So what we did was we changed the narrative. We set it off on its own. We came up and we started pushing families. We started pushing, not so because of the Sargasso and everything that comes up, less emphasis on the beach, more emphasis on the facilities, the calm, the serenity of the place, the how picturesque it was, those kinds of things, and just an overall change in attitude. Now, when the people came in, we used different. We had different colors, we painted things a little differently, so it looked fresh and new. And we also, instilled a more active and proactive concierge service. So we actively went out to people. Oh, hi, how are you? Have you been out on a tour today? Have you gone fishing? I see you standing here by the beach. You're standing next to him. Go, you see that? That's a bonefish. Have you ever been fly fishing? Well, no. Would you like to? Oh, yeah. Okay, sure. It was a small change. It didn't cost us anything, to do that. It was just a matter of changing the messaging and going ahead and doing it, but it paid big dividends. We wound up with greater occupancy, great reviews. I mean, our reviews, which are sort of mediocre, really picked up and became much better. We rose in the ranks to where, we went from like a 3.8 to out of 5 to a 4.7 out of 5, which was quite a thing. We became super hosts, and it was nice. But it was just a matter of changing the perception and changing the focus of what we were trying to sell to people in our messaging.
When businesses undervalue presentation, do you think this is because of a budget or is it a mindset issue?
Two reasons. One, I think that they become complacent. And that's the biggest sin right there, is they become complacent. They undermine presentation because it worked for so long and they never upgrade it. They never update it. They never realize that maybe the market has changed or the world has moved on. I mean, we are not the same world today that we were 10 years ago. Technology, the attitudes of people, the different people that come in here, the age of people, all that has changed now. What they expect has changed. The emphasis on authenticity and stuff. What they were doing 10 years ago may not work today. And they didn't listen to their customers. They didn't see the trends happening and they didn't adapt to it. They didn't modify their presentation to accept and to include the customer they have today. And they fail. Usually you fail before, and that's why a lot of places wind down and disappear. Complacency. You have to work it. So that's the biggest thing that I can see as to why presentation sometimes fails. You don't keep up, and you see it all the time with places, especially places that are multi-generational. Guy comes in, he starts something, it does really well, he builds it up, he becomes the personality, he becomes the face. His son takes over. Man, if he's that interested and he worked in the business, he might do well. By the time the grandchildren come, it's like, yeah, okay, it's making money. I don't have to worry about it anymore. They neglect it, and then it just falls apart. The employees stop caring because they see that the owners stop caring. So I think that's probably the biggest downfall of a lot of small businesses and a lot of hotels too, is you have to maintain it. You have to stay fresh. We live in changing times. The only absolute that we can guarantee is that things will change. Everything's going to change. Our technical environment, our customers, our employees, everybody's expectations will change and will get greater and greater. And we have to recognize it. And we have to make changes to our presentation and what we're doing to keep ourselves fresh. I look at some of the places here. There's like Victoria House, great example. When I first stepped foot on San Pedro, there was and I always tell this, there's a sign that said future home of Victoria House, right? This is back when dinosaurs roamed the earth. I mean, it's like 45 years ago. And I got to tell you, it has done nothing but improve in all that time. People leave their employee of Victoria House because somebody's got to die before you get a promotion. I mean, they've had employees that have been there for 20, 30 years. In 12 years that I've lived on this island, every time you go there, they hi, how are you? They always greet you. They're always on the spot. They always bring you something. They always engage with you. They always go the extra mile to make something happen. The place always looks like they built it yesterday. It's always new. There's never anything old or corroded or broken. They maintain it, and it's hugely successful, hugely successful. So that's presentation. They are my prime example of what works and how you maintain something that works.
So why has Victoria House been so successful?
Commitment. They're committed to what they do. They're committed to constantly improving and maintaining what they have, not just maintaining, but improving what they have, educating their staff, engaging their guests. Consistency. They're consistent. They have a set of standards that they adhere to, and they consistently meet those standards. They have a methodology for engaging with their guests and engaging with anybody that comes in, and engaging them on a level where you get the real sense that they care about the kind of experience that you have in their place. The employees have a sense of ownership of the resort. It's like they always use the term of, well, we can do this for you. Oh yes, our chef can do that. It's always our and we, and it's never I, because they know that they're part of a team. You can see the way that they treat each other and the way that they treat the guests. That really is a secret to success, and the commitment on the path of ownership to put money back into it. They don't lay people off. They don't let things go. They spend the money they need to spend in order to keep the place looking the way it should look, maintain it, and to provide the tools that the people need. And they're good at spotting the trends and adapting to those new market forces that bring them business.
So for smaller businesses, smaller hotels, smaller restaurants that don't have as much money, what are low cost ways that they can upgrade how they present their services?
Well, the easiest and simplest thing is through your people. Really two things. One is your people. Train your people. There's a lot of free training out there. There's, like I say, there's YouTube for that. You can get service training on YouTube for free. You can call, various experts from other resorts and other similar businesses to come in and give talks to your staff. Get to know your staff. Treat your staff well. You can't be, beating up on them and demanding all these things for them, and then not and not appreciating what they do. I mean, in my staff, people think I'm crazy because I really am very staff focused. I give them the tools that they need, and I understand that they're people. It isn't like, well, okay, when you close the door at night or you're off, they don't just sit in a they don't sit in a closet someplace and wait until the next shift. I mean, these are people with lives, right? And sometimes those lives and their working life clash. Well, I have to understand that, and I make allowances for it. So engage with your people, know your people, build that sense of teamwork. That's the cheapest, easiest way to ensure some consistency and customer engagement. The other thing too is give the people the tools that they need. Don't set expectations so high and give them a work plan, but don't give them the tools that they need to do that plan. If you don't have the money to get the proper tools, then modify the plan to do what you can do with the budget that you have. Restaurants work on very thin margins, so they have to really tighten their belt and they have to count their pennies. But look for innovative ways that you can provide service and the service tools that the employees need in order to put the menu out without having to spend a fortune on doing it. And a lot of those things are not terribly expensive. You can adapt a lot of things to repurpose so that you can give the people the tools that they need in order to work. Money does not always buy you excellence. It's the people and how they use the tools that they have that will generate the excellence that you need. So the smaller places, if they do that, I think they'll be okay, because that will allow them to maintain their place. And you can't let the wood get rotten. You can't let the seat covers and stuff become all threadbare and horrible or uncomfortable. These are things that are small things, but that's what you need to do. It's like the price of entry in maintaining your place, maintaining the business itself, the physical plant, and then the staff. Staff is the cheapest one, and probably the most effective. We're a people business. Everything in hospitality and in tourism is a people business.
I would add cleanliness. I noticed like so many places where like you go to some place that it's like you're not paying a lot for like a meal or a place to stay, but it's clean, and you leave, you're so happy that it's clean, because like so many other places you may be paying more but they're not, and then you're like, this is something very simple, but yet people don't think about it, or they just like, it's out of their mind.
Well, it goes back to engaging the staff. The staff have to feel good about where they work. The owners have to feel pride in their physical plant, in their restaurant or their hotel. And part of that manifestation of that pride is keeping it clean. That's all part of the maintenance part of it. And it takes training. I mean, it does. Sometimes, unfortunately, staffs don't want to do that, but you build in the systems and the procedures and the checks and balances so that, it's kept to the standard that you need to have it kept at.
I agree. I think that's one of the things that is often missing at workplaces, like just SOPs. Like, okay, here's how you clean the bathroom. A
Yeah.
10-point bullet list, right? Be like, and you're like, we know everyone can do it, but
Mhm.
just make sure that you follow these steps so that it becomes like second nature, and you can always be certain that it's perfectly squeaky clean.
When I went to hospitality school, got my hospitality degree, I had to take an entire course on housekeeping, cleaning toilets, making beds, cleaning what products you use in order to clean sinks and toilet bowls and towels and sheets and how to do it, what not to do. I mean, this is all part of hospitality. Cleanliness is absolute a must, especially, I mean, a restaurant, you're feeding people, you have to be clean. Sanitation is so important because you don't want to get people to get sick. A hotel is equally important. People are sleeping there, they're living there, and you have people moving in and out all the time. You want to be mindful of diseases. You have to keep the place clean because you don't know what kind of condition the person stayed in there before you did was. So make sure that your mattresses are vacuumed, your sheets are all clean and nice. You clean your vents, you clean your air conditioning filters and those kinds of things in order to keep that fresh space. Because in all of these things, when you go into a restaurant, you go into a hotel room, it should feel like you're the first person ever to be in that room. And you don't have to have a lot of money to do that. Some of the smallest, meanest little hotels I've been into have been absolutely immaculate. But that's reflects the pride of the owner and the business that they have.
Final question. You mentioned Victoria House as one of the premier destinations where you see quality and details in practice, like high standards and high quality. Do you have any other places in mind where you visited, places that you want to mention that are a bit of outliers as to like, oh, they really know what they're doing?
Well, I mean, everyone is different. They will have a different experience. I would say, from my own thing, is at Ishton Ha, the waterfront resort, does a very good job, and they're very nice product. And for the luxury villas, you can't beat Seascape Villas. Nobody's got 3,500, 4,000 square foot, 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath. Excuse me. Villas right on the beach like we do. Victoria House, yes, excellent vacation, wonderful place. Cannot say anything higher about it. Almost any place that you have the Belize collection, Jaguar Reef, Sleeping Giant, fantastic. Staff are amazing. Anything with the Belize collection is great. Chaw Creek, world-class resort. I cannot say enough about it. If you ever get down there, you've got to go to Chaw Creek. They do everything, and they're a sister property, the Guava Lim restaurant, farm to table. Cannot be beat. Amazing food, amazing staff. But again, Chaw Creek is amazing. It just, there's no other word for it. I mean, you go in there and you're in Chaw Creek world. They have beautiful spas, rivers, 365 acres of jungle. He's got his own teak forest, for goodness sake. Amazing place. The other one is Ian Anderson's Cave Branch. Their treetop rooms, when you're sitting there in one whole, you said night, the entire wall is a screen. So you lie in your bed and you can see the fireflies mating and going by at night, and you can hear the jungle, and you look out and the moon's out. You can look out and you can see the river going through the jungle in the valley. Amazing, great tours, friendly people. He makes his own cheese. He cures his own meats, and in the most lovely jungle setting, very lush, very nice, but not too far from civilization either. So it's pretty good from that point of view. Matachica, couples only resort. Unbelievable, owned by an attorney from Canada. And it's the food is magnificent. He had the chef couple from a Michelin-starred restaurant spend 3 months there to train his kitchen staff on how to bake bread and how to do his menu. I mean, he spared no expense in really upgrading and elevating the experience that you have at Matachica. He has probably the best dock design, where he has incorporated, because we're a barrier island. We can't compare with beaches, but we do have great water to swim in, and his dock is designed so that you can go out on the dock and relax in these little pods and go down into the water and then come back up again. Great. I mean, really great. Very innovative, very thoughtful, very well-trained staff. Belize has a lot of places like that. There are a lot of hidden gems, which really are not that hidden, that offer really quality vacations. Anything that on the Coppola, Blankano Lodge, which is right by the Gaia Resort in Pine Ridge, mind-blowing. Or Green Turtle, which is right there in Placencia. Words cannot describe how beautiful this place is. The guy has something like a $250,000 wine cellar that he built there. Treats his staff like family, friendly, nice people, great food, beautiful beach, beautiful ambiance. Individually, Belize, we have world-class places and more coming down the pike.
My guest today has been Nick Scavone. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me. It was great seeing you again.